Okay guys, step number one is to go ahead and take off your engine cover. All it does is just pop up and comes out. Now of course, they do supply instructions, so you don't have to go step by step with me, but this is just how I'm gonna do it. Next step I'm gonna do is disconnect the negative terminal. Next there's a clamp right here, go ahead and take that off. Next we're gonna disconnect the MAF sensor right there. Now that harness right here for the mass airflow sensor attaches right here, so go ahead and pop that off. Pops in right there next to the box, and then you have another tab where it pops in right there. Just go ahead, take a panel removal tool and go ahead and pop it out. And now disconnect the 4 latches holding your airbox in. And then right here where your resonator meets your throttle body, go ahead and take a 10mm socket and go ahead and undo that bolt. And then after that, you have one more 10mm bolt right here that's holding in your resonator. It's just right there on that bracket. In the back, I don't know if you can see, but there's this little vacuum tube line that comes off as well. It just pops right off. Go ahead, set that to the side, take your air filter out. Now you have 3 sockets inside your stock airbox. These are a 12mm. Go ahead and get a 12mm socket and go ahead and loosen up all 3 of those. So actually one of the 12mm was on the outside. You're gonna see that you still have a harness connected. Again, go ahead and take a panel removal tool and pop off the harness from the side of your stock airbox. And after all that is disconnected, your stock airbox should just come right out. So go ahead and unsecure that bolt right there that holds in the resonator bracket. Now you're gonna go ahead and take your grommets and everything from your original OEM airbox. You're gonna go ahead and install them into your aftermarket S&B airbox. So the cone is on. I elected to put that in. And then also the air intake cover is in and the grommets are put on the bottom. The easiest way I found to do these is just to push out the cylinder, take the rubber out, put the rubber into the new one, and then push the cylinders back through. So now go ahead and align this into your vehicle and put the 12mm bolts in through those same 3 holes. Alright, so as you can see, it is in. Those holes right there go over that. There's a little hump right here that goes over a bracket that's already there. This hole right here is just a little misaligned, but that one's lined up. So I'm just gonna put the 12mm in that and finagle this box around until all 3 fit. It should all fit, but a lot of people say you do have to do some finagling, but we'll see how annoying it actually is. All right, and all 3 are lined up. It actually wasn't that bad. It did look a little off, but you can shimmy this, towards you, away from you. Just make sure, do not put one of them in all the way. Make sure you start the thread, okay? Start the thread, it should be good, and then just move it around. Then you're gonna go ahead and take off the MAF sensor and put it on the new intake tube. All right, and that installs like so with a little gasket on it. And then you can see I went ahead and put this fitting on there, and that's an 11mm socket wrench that will go up in there to make sure that it's nice and tight. Make sure all these are nice and tight. Now you're going to take the supplied vacuum hose, because this one's longer and because this one doesn't have the resonator. You're going to go ahead and plug it into the back. Pull off that stock gray one. Go ahead and plug in the longer one. In. And then this goes into that long tube that we attached onto the intake tube. That right there plugs into the back. That's your vacuum line. Then you're gonna take this other hose that's right here that we took off. Go ahead and take the stock Toyota clamp off. Get your hose clamp. Go ahead, put it through. Put that on to the air intake on your other open hole that you have and go ahead and tighten it down. Then go ahead and reconnect your MAF sensor. If you don't like the stress, like I don't, on those wires, I'm gonna go ahead and just like zip tie the wires more this way to ease the stress on your MAF sensor wires. Then take your air filter, go ahead and rotate it around so it fits on its spot, and then go ahead and tighten it down. Once that is nice and secured, go ahead and take this nice seal that they provide you. Go ahead and put it all up in this lip right here. Once that seal's in, go ahead and take off this plastic cover. Go ahead and put the lid on. Look how big this air filter is.
That looks cool though, you can see it.
Yeah, so you know if it's...
See how dirty it is?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that like fiberglass? Plexiglass?
Plexiglass, yeah. So that was first start, hasn't died yet. No check engine light yet. We'll see. Okay guys, so it's fully installed. It's actually been installed for a couple days. I cut the install video after I basically put this plexiglass on because I had to get to work. Man, I am thrilled with it. So later in this week, we will have an MPG test video coming out. It's basically to mirror the baseline video that I did a couple months ago. As it sits right now in the vehicle, I'm at 22.8 miles per gallon, which is insane. The throttle response is great. I enjoy it, and I have floored it a couple times, and this thing is freaking loud. It is so loud, and the vehicle just feels like it just scoots along the road way better than it did with the stock Airbox in it. So I'm definitely happy with it. A couple things. I have had some people on Instagram ask me about space right here. The space is very limited if you're going to do like a compressor setup or dual battery setup. I do not see you fitting that in there. This box is absolutely huge. Another thing is this plexiglass. See how it kind of sits right here, but not all the way up. The screws lined up absolutely perfectly, but just the glass around the seal didn't quite line up. I kind of wish that there was one more here in the center. It doesn't flex a whole lot, actually, if any at all, but I don't know. I just feel like if you're pushing a lot of air through here, it may vibrate, but it may not. I'm not the expert, S&B is, so maybe that's why they only put the 4 on it. Another thing is I did zip tie right down there. That way this MAF sensor doesn't have any pressure on it because these harnesses were pulled more towards the left and that had a lot of pressure on it. So I just put a zip tie right there to kind of pull some stress over this way. Another question that I was getting a lot on Instagram is this snorkel ready? I've been telling people no, just for this fact that back down up in there you have those 2 open holes to get past 2 bolts that are on the fender well like itself. if you want, I guess you could, you know, seal and cover those and then maybe seal up the top of the box, because it does go into the stock fender wall. So if you have the tubing going into this in the stock fender wall, I guess you could put a snorkel, but then also at the same time you still have this rubber right here that could be potentially susceptible to water going in. So I've been telling people, no, anything can be made watertight-ish. It's just I don't want to tell them yes, and then they freaking try to snorkelize this thing and then send water through their engine. So I've been telling people no. Other than that, guys, the install was super easy. People have had issues of these 3 bolts lining up. I did have an issue, I'm not gonna lie, but it was my fault. I failed to read the instructions where it said to utilize their 3 bolts that they have. So I put it in here, I kind of like shimmied the system around, and the back one back here would not catch with the stock bolt, obviously. So once I finally reread the instructions, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to use their longer bolt. So once I put their longer bolt through, it finally caught, and it was able to bring the back part of this system down. So other than that, for me, mine fit perfectly fine. I just had to adjust it around. And then, like I said in the video, just go ahead and put 1 or 2 of them in and kind of just shimmy it around. Should be piece of cake. So if you guys are new around here and you like this content, go ahead and subscribe. If you guys enjoyed this video and it was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you all in the next one. All right, see you later.